All right, so we are back. It's been like 9 months since I made my last YouTube video, and I heard from a few people who were like, what happened? Are you done with YouTube? Like, what's going on? I wanted to make this video specifically for anyone who has felt a little bit discouraged and hasn't posted either on social media, if you have a YouTube channel, emailed your email list. If you've been stuck, I wanted to make this video because I'm certainly no stranger to this, especially on YouTube. I felt very uninspired with my YouTube channel up until the last two videos. So I made two videos last year that I put a lot of energy into, a lot of effort into. I thought that they were more storytelling based videos, a lot more B-roll, just a lot more of the types of videos I wanted to start making. And then the views just weren't there, and it felt very discouraging. I wanted to continue making videos like this, and I even have still plans of continuing with some of the ideas that I had, but I started to really get into the perfectionism trap. I started to really overthink a lot around what I needed to do, what my videos needed to look like, and that they needed to be perfect. And because I was so inspired by making these more complex type of videos with just a lot going on, and it took a long time to do, which I personally didn't actually have a lot of time to do them, but I really didn't want to go back to making the same videos that I did in the past with just like reviews and stuff like that. Like, it was just very uninspired for me. And because I was wanting to make the next videos so different and so just the creative type of videos, that I started to get stuck, because now I started to look at what my backgrounds are looking like and where am I filming. And then I was trying to film in the apartment amenity that we had. We had this like really cool co-working type of area, but there were always people walking by and it was kind of loud, and it was really annoying to film because there was just so many distractions. And then I was like, well, I can't really film here because it's like sometimes there's music going and then sometimes there's someone walking in the background and whatever. I was just getting in my head about being able to film the type of videos I wanted. And then I started getting busy in my business, and then I didn't have the time, and then I was getting kind of out of it. And meanwhile, in the same time, I was looking at the performance of those last two videos, and they were just way less performing than a lot of the other videos I've made. And I was just kind of like, well, why am I putting so much energy and effort into this when I'm not even getting anything in return? And that is actually the biggest mistake that I made, because it's exactly what got me stuck in the first place. If you are anything like a lot of my clients, I know that you might have been in that stuckness before, where you just keep procrastinating on maybe creating content or contacting your email list or putting out that offer and waiting until everything is perfect, where the conditions are just right, where you have all the equipment, or when you have all the time to film in the way that you want to film. And then it doesn't happen one week, and then it doesn't happen next week, and then another month goes by, another 3 months go by, and before you know it, it's been like a year and you haven't done things in a way you could have, when the whole time you could have at least showed up. I truly believe that our message gets to be so powerful and gets to be so potent that that's the reason why people watch us. That's the reason why people listen to what we have to say. And that's why they're subscribed and they buy from us. And when we get outside of the message and we focus on all the tactical details, we lose sight of what people actually care about, of what actually is the most important. And when you lose sight of that, it's like you start focusing on the wrong things. It's when people are trying to grow their social media and they only focus on the vanity metrics. We've seen so many situations where people were growing massive audiences on social media and then they weren't able to sell a single product. Well, it's because they were probably focusing on vanity metrics. They weren't creating the type of audience that is an audience comprised of buyers. And the same thing can happen with YouTube. The same thing can happen with, like social media, email lists. You have to be intentional about what is the community that you're building and how are you showing up. Are they showing up there because your content is perfect or because it looks pretty? Or are they there because the message you have to share is actually really important and then it strikes a chord with them and it's something that moves them to start taking action, to feel better, to see their life in a different way? I really believe that that's actually the reason why people follow us and why people buy from us. So when you focus on the other aspect, again, it's just going to make business a whole lot more difficult. So this video is very simple. And I didn't want to do anything too crazy with it. I don't want to do anything too complex or a lot of B-roll. I still want to be creating videos with B-roll, and I have a lot of ideas for finally getting back into the flow of things. But what I really realized is that once you stop posting for a while, once you stop showing up for a while, and you give, like, let's say that you take a hiatus, unintentional or intentional, for a little while, whether it's a few weeks or several months, it can be really difficult to get back into the flow of things. It's kind of like the zone that you felt really inspired and in momentum, and like, I'm moving and I'm creating and I have so many ideas, that gets kind of shut off. It's like the faucet has been turned off. And the most important thing in the very beginning to get back, or try to get back into that zone again, is just to get into the habit of doing the thing. But you can't get into the habit of doing it unless you actually start doing it. So instead of trying to overthink it and overplan it and like, let me make sure the conditions are perfect, just get started and just start posting. Even if the first few videos or first few pieces of content or emails are going to be totally not that good and not your best work, it's okay, because at least you started, and the next one gets to be better, the next one gets to be better. And the more you get into that habit, I feel like something happens in our brain that we start to become more receptive and more open to ideas coming in from all different angles. All of a sudden, you're like aware of different situations that you could address in your emails, or different stories that you could share that you wouldn't have even thought of before because you were actually blocked off from the creativity that wanted to come in. Being able to start just getting into the flow of creation and then refinement after. Get it done, refine later. It can always be improved, and that's okay. And this is literally what I teach. And sometimes I just have to take my own advice because it is what it is. We really have to remember about the compounding effect. The compounding effect is that every single action you take today gets more impactful over time. And eventually it's like all these tiny little steps that you were taking that you didn't really see. If you were to look at it like in a very short term kind of look, you wouldn't really see that these actions are really making a difference in the grand scheme of things of your business. But when you actually look at all the tiny actions you've been taking over an extended period of time, all of a sudden it's like, you are an overnight success. But it's not overnight, because it's been taking, the weeks, the months, the years of consistency that created the overnight success. So that's why I wanted to make this video. If you've been stuck, just get into action. If you haven't posted in a long time, just post something. Thank you for watching, and I hope that I see you in the future videos, which are coming. They're coming.